Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
Which Saints quarterback will Tampa Bay face on Sunday in Week 4? Could it be Jameis Winston? And why is this the game? The one you should be most excited to watch this season. We'll tell you right here, right now on Bucs Bonus. I'm your host alongside my teammates, Bucs Insiders Dan Lucas, Karen Loftus. Hello.
Hi.
So many storylines in this game. And just side note, by the way, Karen and I both have covered the Saints before, so we're going to bring you all the insight, all of the good stuff. But first, let's talk about that loss, that 25-11 loss to the Eagles. No run game. I feel like the defense carried them throughout the game, gave them opportunities to, put them in some opportunities to score. Obviously this is arguably the hardest team that the Bucs will face this season. So you have that, but thoughts on the game, guys?
Well, first of all, you guys have covered the Saints before. I've covered Bourbon Street many times. So if that comes up, I've got you. Got you covered from start to finish.
Dan is our expert.
We can pick out
Noted.
We can pick out the highlights, whatever you guys want to know.
Noted.
Lucky dogs, you know who you are.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I thought the defense played pretty well Monday in spurts. I thought that the Eagles were popping big runs, and Todd Bowles said, on our chat Tuesday, that it was kind of half and half. When he left the stadium, he was really upset about it. And when he went back and watched the film, there were a couple of runs they set up DeAndre Swift that were just ingenious play calls. So you tipped your cap to the Eagles. And then there were a couple of runs where he got to the second level that were assignments, and then the old missed tackling. So it was kind of mixed. But Bowles was surprisingly not in a bad mood on Tuesday. When he looked at the film and compared it to how he felt after the game, I think he felt there was a little bit of something to he said correctables.
Yeah.
I think there's a little lessons and growing pains for this football team that they probably took from this. I think when this all plays out, maybe that was the best thing that could happen to them Monday. A little humility and give them something to really look at. Okay, this is what we're really good at. This is what we're not that good at. And they were, exposed at certain times in that game.
Baker said something similar today in regards to the mistakes that happened were correctable. And so that's why you don't get down on yourself. It's like, okay, all of these things, we see it, got it. That's a very fixable thing. Sort of on the tail end of what Dan was saying about just the run defense, it's like the Bucs talk so much about that was something they wanted to do well. And I think it's concerning anytime you give up 201 yards rushing and then 130 to one person on the ground. Yeah. So that's concerning.
And didn't at one point it was 25 yards, Rashad White, or was it in rushing? At one point, it was the second or third quarter. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I thought it was
minimal.
Rashad White had nearly all of their offensive yards at halftime. He had 42 total yards, and I think they had 80 or something, something like that at the half. One of the things that I think is good is that they are getting the takeaways. I think you pointed that out. Still getting takeaways, 2 more to add to that total. And then the other thing, offensively, the slow start again, which was the troubling thing against the Vikings. And, when you don't score any points until your 4th drive of the game, and it's only 3 points, and you only score 1 touchdown, and it comes with 9 minutes left in the game, those are all things that should be corrected against the Saints and then beyond.
Right.
Well, we've seen that happen before. I don't know what it is about these nighttime primetime games, but you can list games that the Bucs have appeared in at night, and that's been the formula. Except for the Ravens game last year, where the Bucs got off to a red hot start, and then got Lamar Jackson in the second half. But other than that, some of these night games have just been absolute clunkers. And then you look back later and you're like, wow, they're actually still in this game. So that touchdown to Evans and the 2-point conversion gets it to a 2-score game. As bad as it's been, it was realistic at that point to think about how can you get 2 scores. And of course, the Eagles just held onto the ball the rest of the football game.
Yeah, and if they were able to do that in the third quarter, say.
Yeah, but you mentioned something correctable leading into the Saints game as far as the offense goes. Baker Mayfield was under duress big time from that Eagles front seven, which is elite.
Which we knew was going to be good.
Yes, which was coming, and the Saints are going to do the same thing. So when you say correctables, they're not dealing with the pre-snap issues like last year's team was. Todd Bowles was very complimentary of Luke Gedeke and Tristan Wirfs. Now the interior part of the line, I guess Hainsey had the worst game of the 5 if you were going to rank them 1 through 5. These are areas,
which isn't great because he's supposed to be the leader on that
exactly.
O-line.
But that was the area that the Eagles attacked. And if I'm the Saints, I'm watching that film, and that's what I'm attacking. So Todd Bowles, Dave Canales collectively probably will address that going into this game.
And I think it's a combination of the Eagles obviously being good and the Bucs kind of having a bad game, right?
Definitely.
Like, a lot of uncharacteristic things you saw, like Mike Evans, 2 drops in the first half. Kate Otten, he had a drop in the first quarter. And then obviously, like you were saying, you both were saying, you don't get a touchdown until the 4th.
The drop
it's like
in
he
the end
woke
zone.
up later in the game, and he's a veteran, a leader on the team. Like, that's so, like you guys said, correctables. Sorry to cut you off, Karen.
That's okay.
No, that's
rock,
fine.
paper, scissors.
I know. One thing that I don't think got enough of attention because of everything that happened after was the Bucs defense on the Eagles' first drive, forcing him to turn over on downs inside the red zone. Like, that was real. Like, that's a major bright spot. So I just wanted to bring some attention to that because like I had that as a note, and I'm like, okay, let's keep track of that. But
that's 3 weeks in a row, because 3 weeks in a row, teams have moved right down the field on this team. And the Eagles, they had their receiver as well. It wasn't all the run game, but the Bucs just tightened it up in that red zone, and they've done that in all 3 of their games. Now the Bears struck; they had the touchdown, Justin Fields touchdown. But yeah, it was very impressive. I was also going to say, if Evans catches that ball in the second quarter, then you can't say that was the game because it was so early still. But the complexity, the math, everything changes with that touchdown on the board. So that was a massive play in a negative sense. And the Bucs have been coming up with plays close to halftime that have set the stage to absorb anything in the second half. That's what they did against the Vikings in the first game. Prevented a touchdown, came out and scored a touchdown. So, it's you could always pick on 1 or 2 plays, but not one person or 2 people. It was definitely a team effort in the wrong direction. And like I said, Todd Bowles seemed pretty encouraged on Tuesday, and I think if you listen to him, it's a little calming to when you hear a coach say these are correctable. I got to go out and watch on Sunday, see if this works.
Yeah.
But I walked away feeling pretty good about it because, Monday night when that game ended, I thought, what in the world did we just watch? That was just, you tried to find something redeeming, and wasn't never in it.
Yeah.
I think one positive that I was thinking about, it's like, when you try to like learn something, the only way you can show if you're going to get better is to be in the same situation again. And you were talking about how the Saints were going to bring the pressure. It's going to be another tough defense. And I think this is I'm looking at it as a positive, shocking, I know, that the Bucs are getting an immediate chance to go up against another tough defense and see if they can correct those mistakes.
Yeah. And Dan, when you were talking about how it's kind of both sides of the ball, you could put some blame on against the Eagles. Devin White, I will say this, after that game in the locker room, I almost got that same feeling I think you did with Todd Bowles. Like, it was comforting. It was motivating a little bit when he was talking, and he said Baker spoke with the team after the game, and he said, look, that's on us. Like, we got you guys. And the defense was like, no, like, if you guys aren't playing well, then we'll pick up your slack. So you really, really love to see that in a locker room. Like, hey, okay, if you're not doing well, we're going to try even harder. So good vibes, good energy there. You love to see that.
I think the Bucs offense was embarrassed a little bit. Collectively it wasn't good, but the sequence that just kind of was encapsulated the entire night. Was this unbelievable athletic play by D. Delaney, and it got the crowd back into it. So now the Bucs are on their 1 and they can't get out of their end zone. And you're like, wait a minute, we just prevented 7, we gave them 2, now we give them the ball back. This is going to bite us again, and a guy just made an amazing play.
Yeah.
So that was disheartening at the time. That's probably one of the things Baker was alluding to.
Yeah,
because the defense stepped up. This is with injuries too. Jamel Dean,
yes,
leaving the game. Delaney comes in there, and Delaney ended up coming out for a little bit as well. So the defense did all it could, but boy, they ran out of gas.
Yeah. Well, Devin White said he's like, they have a 24-hour rule, whether it's a win or a loss, don't care, they're moving on. So let's move on and talk about the Saints. Karen!
Look at that segue.
Yes.
That was
Look
good.
at you like that transition way here. Applause. Yes,
Wow.
yes. Ooh, got a bunch of fun buttons over here. Should I just press all of them at the same time and see what happens?
Well, let's just,
I don't think JB would like that too much. So Derek Carr, he's day to day, right? Do we think we're going to see him or Jameis Winston? You guys have heard that name before, huh?
So Carr did not participate today.
He did not participate on Wednesday, correct?
I'm going. I bet we see Jameis.
I think so too. I don't think Carr's
A little
going
bit
to
of
play.
Taysom too.
Look, you're going to see
Hey.
Taysom in the red zone. You know that's coming. So that's something the Bucs need to prepare for.
He's given the Bucs a hard time. The way that the Saints use him, it's crazy when teams. It's almost impossible to defend what they do with
It's like
him.
the only
how
player
they
in the
utilize
league
him.
that like that.
But the guy who's the Bucs killer on that team is back in the lineup, Alvin Kamara.
Oh,
So
there it is,
it
right
makes
there.
the offense. It makes the offense from the Saints' perspective a little more encouraging, even if they're not, don't want Jameis leading the way. I mean, when Jameis came in the game the other day, the second half changed completely. I mean, the Saints were completely in charge of that game.
17
and
zip.
it just went the other way. Things happen. I mean, the Packers played their part as well at home in front of the fans, but the Saints had some soul searching themselves after a head scratching loss.
But I don't think you could blame Jameis entirely on that loss, though. You know what I mean? Like their kicker should have made that field goal, and their defense started to slip. So of course it's like once Jameis gets in the game, they blow a 17-0 lead, and then you know what I mean. So you've seen those storylines, all. Within recent years, when it's like, Jameis comes in the game and you want to put it all on him, I think you definitely have to take into consideration the defense slipping a bit, right? Obviously, and then that missed field goal.
Well, the defense. I mean, the Packers went after the defense. I mean, you're talking 17 points, is 3 scores.
Yeah,
That's in a limited time,
right?
Not 12 possessions. They had 4 or 5 possessions max, and needed 3 scores. They got them. So, the field goal was costly for the Saints, but a lot of things happened in the collapse. I don't think that was all Jameis Winston.
Yeah. But this offense now with Alvin Kamara in it, Karen, you've covered this, man. What does this do for the Saints, and how should the Bucs prepare for AK?
Yeah, he's just so dynamic. Like, he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, and he just has this incredible balance and vision, and he can do some damage, and anybody that plays against him knows that. And Todd Bowles talked about him today. He just said he's a tough one to contain. And then it's like you add that to the duo of Olave and Thomas.
Yes.
Well, Olave's
like,
been
where do you
unbelievable.
start?
And don't forget Rashid Shaheed too, man. Like he comes out of nowhere and is fast. So that's a really good receiving core to prepare for. Yeah. But I think too with Alvin Kamara being back in the lineup, what it does for their offense is provides a spark in the locker room as well. Like, he brings so much to the team in the locker room too.
His presence
His
alone.
presence alone is really it gets you going, right? Like we've been in the locker room with them and interviewing them and whatnot, and just kind of when you have him in there, it changes things. So, but I do think this is either team's ball game. It's really, they're both 2-1. They're both coming off losses. And they won both. Bucs won both games last year when they played them. So, they're going to be coming off a win from last year. I'm excited. I am excited to watch this game. I think if you are a fan for either team, you should be excited to watch this game. What do you guys think? Come on, man.
This is a massive bounce back opportunity for the Bucs.
For both
teams,
of them,
but
yeah.
the Bucs really want this game because they're going into their bye week.
Yes.
And I think they've heard everyone talk about the doom and gloom. To go into your bye week 3-1 and to now have some guys maybe come back on the backside of that, this sets up nicely. This sets up very nicely. And if the Bucs can get back to that, that Baker Mayfield distributing the ball and not having to be inventive, and what caused his first interception of the season, I think they can control the clock, the time of possession, which they've done in their wins. This is a game that's made for them.
Yeah.
In a tough environment.
Yeah, talk about that environment, man. The Superdome.
So the thing that I asked a couple people today was about the Superdome. Like, obviously it's loud.
Right.
But being there in Minnesota, it was very
Well, you compare
loud.
the two, Karen, because you've been in both atmospheres.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've been in the Minnesota one too.
I would say it's
something.
It's
yeah, both
1-2.
of you have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was to the point where I was like, if I had earplugs, I'd wear them.
That's insane.
And I wore earplugs in the dome because I was shooting. So I was on, like a playoff game, like NFC Championship, like I had earplugs in.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
I was like, I don't need ear damage, hearing loss.
It's insane. It echoes and it's hard, right?
But the thing that I pointed out is they did very well in Minnesota. So I said, does that give you confidence? And it's like, yeah, we did.
Great point.
We did well in Minnesota, handled it. So I think that that's something that they can, for confidence wise. Yeah. It's like, this isn't going to be an intimidating thing, maybe.
The thing that I notice about this rivalry is I am missing the Sean Payton factor in this. And I don't want to slight the Saints coaches
right now. That man is hurting right now.
Sean Payton absolutely loathes the Bucs. And schemes to do. The Saints would throw the book at the Bucs. That's when they would do anything tricky that they're hanging on to. Everything was relentless. Peyton's a well-known trash talker. He had that team ready for the Bucs. I forget what the streak was the Saints had. It was something crazy before Brady got here.
Yeah.
And even Tom Brady's first game was at the Saints, and it was a loss. So I just think the Sean Payton factor is missing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Were you there for Payton?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah. It was intense.
Yeah.
The Saints came here one year with Payton, and they didn't play well at all. And they found a way to beat the Bucs and
Didn't
get the
they
Bucs
shut
to
them
beat
out?
themselves.
Or was that Dennis Allen? The
that was
9-0?
the 9-0. Yeah, that was
9-0.
That was a primetime game, by the way, that I was talking about. Sunday Night Football game.
Oh, yeah.
The Bucs were shut out at home. That was bizarre. The other thing we must mention is the always happy reunion of Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore.
Man,
they love each other so much.
They do. A great T-shirt came out of the last meeting there with Evans shoving in front of Tom Brady.
Wait, really? Is this a T-shirt you have?
I can show you the T-shirt. I'll have to pull it up here. Yeah,
please?
I will pull it up.
I mean,
for
I'm not
our
surprised
audience.
that a T-shirt was made, but I did not.
I kind of want one.
I don't know if it was authorized, but let's see. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, but that, like, there are so many storylines going into this game and so many reasons to be like interested. And I know everyone says, oh, the NFC South, blah, 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 blah. But like, hello, Jameis might be playing. That's crazy.
It's all
Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans. I mean, do you need another reason? And
what was unfortunate about the one Jameis meeting, the first meeting against the Bucs, he came out and he was doing well, and then he got the tackled from behind, and he was out of the game just like that. So that was unfortunate. So I've never been anti-Jameis. I've always wanted to see him, perform well. But he came into the game last week and it didn't work out as well.
Yeah. I remember Jameis saying this when I was covering the Saints and they were playing the Panthers when Baker was with the Panthers. And someone asked him about Baker, and he actually has allegedly a close relationship with him, and they talk back and forth. And obviously they have a lot of things in common, right? So That would be interesting and pretty cool if Jameis starts, and obviously with Baker starting. If they talk before the game, exchange words and, frenemy type stuff. So that'll be cool to see. Frenemy.
All right, so this is high tech. We spare no expense here. There's the shirt.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
Notice Brady's not getting in the middle of it. So
yeah,
Brady's
he's standing back there.
So that resulted, I believe, in a suspension for Mike Evans.
Do you have that shirt, Dan?
I don't. I do not have that shirt.
Do we all need that shirt and wear it
You know
next
what?
time?
If you want to pick on your Saints friends, go to that one.
Well, when that initially happened, I was, man, guys, I'm going to get blocked and hate for this, but I had to at the time I was covering the Saints. I was kind of team Marshawn. I was like, why would he, blindside and out of nowhere? And now that I'm here, I'm like,
but there's history before that. That's the problem. There's history before that. And he went after him a while ago in the Superdome protecting Jameis.
Yeah.
So the history is so well known at this point. But after that incident, the T-shirt picture there, now they're on notice.
I think
they're on notice.
Well, Mike Evans can't get suspended. This team is doomed if Mike Evans gets suspended. Yeah. They can't do that again. You got to control your emotions.
I think the basis of it is just two really good players, and it's like when you just like peak competition.
Yes.
Neither one wants to get embarrassed. Each person wants to have the best day against the best. Like, you want to show everybody that you have the edge, and I think that's just like ultimate competition.
Right, and exactly. When you look at it from the outside, it's like, oh, are they planning that? Right, like some fans like, are they planning this? Like, is this staged? Two elite athletes to play this game, going at it, high competition, something to hey, I'm better than you. It's just natural. It's just what happens, especially with the makeup of them and their mindset and this competitiveness. It's just what happens, and that's as long as everyone's safe and no one gets hurt, right? It's what makes sports fun. You know what I mean? Speaking of fun, not so fun. Let's get into injuries here. So. Obviously, Derek Carr didn't practice. He's day-to-day. We don't know if we're going to see him or not on Sunday. But on the Bucs side of things, actually, side note, with the offensive line for the Saints, Andrus Peat, he's injured. And then Cesar Ruiz, he has a concussion. So we don't know what's going to happen there. We don't know if we're going to see Ruiz. I think Peat is not. I don't know what his deal is if he's on.
I don't see him on the injury report.
Okay, well, all right, TBD with that. Bucs side though, Jamel Dean.
Oh, this is a big deal. The corners.
Right.
It's major.
Are we going to see the Bucs starting corners on Sunday?
Carlton was limited. I feel like
toss up. I think Carlton Davis
positive.
has to show that he can run and cut, and I don't think they'll do that until the last minute, like they did this past week. They gave him till the last minute to try and play, and then they had to scratch him essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that gets better a week later or not. I think Carlton Davis will benefit from the bye week. And Jamel Dean, I don't know what we're going to see there. You're looking at Zion McCollum being thrusted into a very important role.
Do we think he's ready for that?
Well, he's played well. He's not gonna
right.
Yeah, he's not gonna be afraid of the stage. That's for sure.
Right.
Christian Izien will be used, and he had a very good game, I thought, against the Eagles. Except he was more pursuing the passer. He made Hurts get out of the pocket a few times, but I don't know how they'll utilize him from that quote safety role. But the corners, that's the spot. That's the spot of absolute red flag for the Bucs defense. So if you're not pressuring Jameis or Carr, it could be a long day. It could be some passing yards for the Saints.
Yeah.
Look at this little blurb from Casey on our screen. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, shout out Casey.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do we have an injury report yet from today? Is that what you're looking? Can you read it off?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Carlton was limited. Everybody else was DNP. Jamel Dean, Servassier, Kalijah, Derek Pitts, Vita, and Devin.
Okay.
It says Devin has a foot. That's different from last week.
Different from what it was the other night.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And like these guys, they obviously they don't want to be hurt. Like they don't want to be on this list. Devin White especially too. I mean,
well, there
I
wasn't
think he's
any. When he intercepted the pass the other night, there was no nothing. You know, you couldn't hide it.
Right.
I mean, every single person who watched the game, as soon as he intercepted that ball, you thought something's not right. There was no acceleration. Devin White doesn't play that way. A lot of people on social media say that's a pick six if he's not hurt. I don't know if it was that, but he wasn't going to trot out of bounds.
Yeah.
Devin White would go make contact with someone.
Right, yes.
I mean, so he was avoiding contact. He was avoiding running too hard. He's obviously nursing something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, these guys will play through it, you know, and then you wonder why did he miss that tackle or why did this happen? And it's like, well, I mean,
I think teams see this, the coordinators see this, and they exploit that. Mm-hmm. They're all smart.
Yeah.
If White lines up on Sunday, he's not going to be 100%. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I bet he plays, but if I'm the Saints, I'm looking at a scheme. I'm picking out the guys who I know aren't 100%.
Yeah, there's no way Devin doesn't play back in Louisiana.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, and man, and if Jameis starts too, I feel like I have PTSD from that. If you're
the horse collar tackle or the
big injury there. Yeah.
That was unfortunate. Devin was kind of mortified about that. He didn't like that.
Yeah.
He didn't like that. The Bucs didn't like it either. Jameis is their buddy. A lot of those guys, more than a dozen guys, on the Bucs roster played with Jameis.
Right.
So he's got friends on that sideline. So no one wants to see that happen.
Yeah, but obviously you're not going to hold back, you know, in this game. So, so hopefully everybody is good come Sunday. What do you guys think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to win this game?
I think the Bucs bounce back. And the factor for me is Baker Mayfield.
And that's Dan saying this too here.
I was like, remember defense? I said I was going to say it every week. Now I'm going to change my tune a bit. I think it's Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
That becomes the difference maker because all he has to do is just reel this in. I don't think they're going to have to do anything extraordinary, but they must protect the football and get drives like they could not do the other night. Mm-hmm. Their 2 scoring drives the other night where they had 9 plays and 13 plays. Other than that, they had 6 to start the game, and then it was a punt fest. And that's going up against a good defense. So I think Dave Canales recovers. I think Baker Mayfield recovers.
I think one of the things you look for is obviously just like those improvements, what you can do. So I asked Baker today, I said, okay, looking at the film, what's maybe one thing like you personally want to improve upon from week 3 to week 4? And he said, take care of the little things, make the easy plays, make it easy for people. And he also said, eliminate the turnovers. Mm-hmm. The Bucs had 0 turnovers. Their offense had 0 turnovers in the first 2 games, and then they had 2 in this last game. And, you can talk, all day about how the turnover differential is just a big part. And we've seen how that's been a big part in this series as well.
I can't help but imagine this almost being a low-scoring game. And
I can.
You know what I mean? Like a field goal, because both of these defenses are so good and so powerful, right?
There was a time many, many years ago in the early days of the NFC South where the Bucs and the Panthers were the best 2 teams, and it was all defense. And one time they played a game that was 12-9. Mm-hmm. It was literally 4 field goals to 3. Mm-hmm. And if you thought, could that exist again? It could be this game. It could be this game. Yeah. This could be a 16-13 game easily, 15-10, some kind of weird number. This could be that in a heartbeat. That's how good these defenses are.
Well, you also look at, so I have the stats pulled up. So points scored for each team. The Saints are averaging 17.7, which is 25th in the league. Mm-hmm. And then the Bucs are averaging 19.3, which is 19th in the league. So neither of these teams are scoring at will through 3 games. So that's also a factor too. Yes, good defenses, but also in looking at what the offenses have done in 3 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's shout out our dear friend Casey Sloan, who of course has given us all the updates on WFLA.com. Superdome Madness. Bucs head to New Orleans for Week 3 matchup against NFC South rivals. All right. Well, let's also take a look at the schedule too here. I love that they have a bye week after this week. I think they're going to be ready to go against the Lions. I think that's a win. I think the Falcons are a win. I don't know about the Bills, but
they can win that game.
Absolutely. I think the Bucs pull out a win against the Saints. But here's the thing: the Saints, and listening to the podcasts and media, they think the Saints are going to take this game.
Well, the Saints are the home team, and generally, even if the home team is inferior, if you want to use that word, the home team, the NFL has a lot of home juju, if you will.
Yeah.
Ask the Arizona Cardinals, what they just did last Sunday. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys went in there, and it was just they didn't see it coming. So yeah, but I mean, the Saints and Bucs are familiar opponents, but the Saints. If you said who are the best home teams, I don't know all the records in that, but who's the best home team in the NFL? Saints is at the top of my list.
Yeah, I agree. And then our standings here, we're going to take a look at this. If you are watching, you're going to see it. If you're on Spotify, Apple, we'll just read it out to you.
It's magical stuff if you're not seeing it, by the way.
So that means you have to watch it if you're listening. Just kidding. I'm not going to tell you what to do. So obviously... The Falcons also kind of have the same storyline as far as both the Bucs and the Saints, right?
Any one of these three teams can win this division. I know they've played 3 games, but those 3 at the top, that's how it's going to be when we all have Thanksgiving dinner. And the Panthers, I'm afraid, are going to be, looking forward to a draft pick. Yeah. So the Falcons are what's the word? For real? The Falcons are in this.
What's the word for real?
For real?
Legit.
For real, yes.
Contenders or pretenders.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
These NFC South head-to-head games are massive. Because I think it's going to be another 8 or 9 win season for the division winner.
Well, here we are. It's here. First division game.
Yep.
Here we go. Is there a drum roll on here? Should I just press a button and see what happens?
See what sound effect is, and I'll react to it.
Was that crickets?
Crickets.
That's what people
that
thought.
That one's for Dan.
That's what people thought of my opinion on it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, right. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're here every single Wednesday, 4:00. You can watch us on YouTube, catch us live on WFLA now. If not, Spotify, Apple, all the things. Again, here every Wednesday. Aileen Hnatiuk, Dan Lucas, Karen Loftus. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, Bucs pull out a win on Sunday.
Buckified Bird, if you're out there, chin up, buddy.
Yeah, this man's on vacay.
The sun is going to come up.
Peace out.
The sun will come up, Buckified. Don't worry.
It will be back, we promise. And we will also be back next week. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see you next time.